Edgeworth time. I'm already pre-transparented here from the ramble. So, we have determined that Knight's body was dragged. Knight's body was put in an underground tunnel at some point. We don't know how or when. Or we do. We kind of do. We have theories. Anyway, we got kicked out of the prison, so now it's the next day. It is now March 29th at 10:12 a.m. in the prison dash yard. Here we are again. Let's hope we could find something this time that'll finally reveal the truth behind it all. Although that might be easier said than done. There's nothing left to investigate. So, Judge Gavel's deduction yesterday. Oh, good. He's going to recap it for us, so we don't even have to. I don't even have to explain it. There's another possibility, one you seem to have overlooked. The well in the yard. Could a body have entered in the tunnel from there? In summary, the body must have been thrown down the well and moved to the workshop at some point during the show. Tell me, who else could have done that but Mr. Saint? Had Knight's body really been thrown down the well? The answer to that question will surely show us the way forward. Before we begin, I should tidy up my organizer a little. Unnecessary evidence has been removed, remaining evidence has been rearranged. Let's see here. Huh, there's a cover on it. Dried up well slap bang in the middle of a prison? Figures it'd be locked. Well, luckily, I'm a master lockpicker. Want me to do my stuff? Think not. We'll just do this investigation by the book. Come on, don't be such a stick in the mud. Whoa. What is it, Kay? The lock's broken. From the looks of it, it's been broken for a long time. If that's the case, then anyone could have thrown Knight's body down the well. Judge Gavel's theory was that Mr. Saint carried out the murder here in the yard, and then during the performance he threw the body down the well. What are you thinking, Miles of Reno? Plausible or no? Oh, why don't we see if Missile can help us out again? He'll be able to tell us if Mr. Knight's body was there, and which way it went. Good idea. I'll call Detective Gumshoe. Gumshoe speaking. Detective, I need your assistance. Come to the prison yard and bring Missile with you. You bet, sir. Gumshoe's 7 secret weapons to the rescue again, huh? I'm fairly sure Missile belongs to the precinct. I'd also like you to bring one of our witnesses. Call the Berry Big Circus and ask Miss Regina Berry to come down here with you. Yes, sir. I'll be there before you know it. So, what shall we do while we're waiting for Gummy? How about a quick game of hide-and-go-seek? Fun idea, kiddo, but where exactly will we hide? He's not seriously considering it. Your game can wait, Kay. We'll need to call on one of your more practical skills. I think you know the one. Oh, you bet I do. You bet I do? You bet I do. One crime scene recreation coming right up. Say what now? Let me show you. Introducing a great thief's great secret weapon. Little Thief. Whoa, screens appearing from thin air. This is some next level tech, little sis. Want to talk me through the deets? What are you doing now? Meanwhile, they still have cell phones from like 3 years ago that are like bricks. And yet they have holographic technology from 10 years ago. How's that make sense? I'm inputting everything we need for the simulation. Allow me to explain. This is Mr. Thief. It's a device that can recreate crime scenes at specific moments in time based on the data you feed it. How about I start us off with a recreation of what the yard looked like yesterday? Good idea. That was when they were in the middle of tearing down the stage. In the middle. We didn't pay much attention to the well then. Who knows, we may have overlooked something. Leave it to me. I'll use the photo I took. Yeah, but she has this from a reclusive criminal mastermind, true. Beepity beep boop beep. That's all the data. Just gotta pump the projection power to the max and... Dark skies of evening, when no other bird takes wing. One alone remains all-seeing. Now witness the true power of a real modern-day Robin Hood. Yipes, what is this? I love the Little Thief music for this game. It's a recreation of how things were yesterday, modeled on the data I gave Little Thief. This gadget was a tool used by the original Yatagarasu, but they used it to plan robberies. Well, there's no harm using it for something on the right side of the law now. Oh, but keep in mind, it can only recreate what you tell it to. Can't simulate things it doesn't have data for, and if the data itself contains mistakes, then you'll wind up with the same mistakes in the recreation too. Yeah, the Batman of Ace Attorney, yeah. Alright, human. This one looks less transparent, so it's actually better for this when I have to be see-through. But this particular recreation is based on case photos, so we shouldn't run into any problems. That's enough preamble. Shall we get started? Don't forget, you can examine stuff in the recreation, just like in real life. You can also present evidence to try to clear up any inconsistencies you find. Of course, thank you for the reminder. Now let's take a look at that well. Yes, this is where the circus show stage stood. Do you think people would be interested in a great thieving show? I'm sure the police would be very eager to attend. What was the name of that trunk-happy friend again? Isaiah the Asian Elephant, star of the show, alongside Regent the Tiger and Saint. Of course, how could I forget? Not exactly inspired, though, is it? Was Miss Barry having an off day when she came up with it? Oh my gosh, Mr. Edgeworth, not in front of the poor elephant herself. Using generative AI to solve crimes, slap my head. To be fair, it's not generating anything that we don't already know about. It's not generating unseen new shit. We're telling it exactly what needs to be done here. A wicker basket, or rather a cart, given the wheels. Wouldn't it be fun to hop in it and race down a hill? Oh, you know what else would be fun? Racing down... This is the same dialogue as yesterday. What's your model changing? It's really neat. I have a bunch of forms for this model. This pond is home to Warden Lagarde's beloved alligator. And look, those bones must be from her latest meal. Somehow doubt an alligator could pick a carcass clean like that. You'd think? Get the feeling she's rather ladylike in her own way, actually. If you say so. Well, I do. Kind of a sixth sense for these things. An interesting talent, though not one I'm particularly envious of. Yeah, so I have my default, my bird. I have, big head mode. Big head and big body. I have Bird Kisser, which I never use. This only comes up by accident. This I used a bit last year. Karma drew these. Karma pretty much did most of these. Not the first two. Those were done by Xavier. A Hamtaro hamster. This one, Kokori, I commissioned from Kokori, the big sloshy bird, which doesn't really show up well because the green shirt is blending in with the background. Hamster, yes. We have Puny from Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. This I might be getting rid of from the current lineup to put something else in there. Just because this was situational to Thousand-Year Door, and that was a whole year ago, almost. I have a Heartless form for Kingdom Hearts streams. Again, Karma drew most of these. This is a fun one. I like the design for this one. It's got the clock on it and everything. I have a Chow form for Sonic games. This one I'm probably keeping, even though I'm probably not going to be seeing much use for it in a while. Puny is probably going to be the one that I remove, if I remove any of them. And then finally got the human that I use, again, mostly for visual novels and Ace Attorney. So it actually works out pretty well. The ninth, this actually could hold 10 slots, PNG Tuber Plus. The 10th is used for the cloud that appears when I change forms. The Cloud and the Big Head form and the normal form were drawn by Xavier. The rest were all done by Karma, except the animated sloshy one. That one was Kokori. Yeah. I want to get a couple more forms, but I'm going to have to either start a new model to use it, or I'm going to have to remove forms from this existing one, because each one can only hold up to 10. And one of them is being taken by the Cloud, so... Great Thief's secret weapon. Color me intrigued, Mazarino. Not exactly by the book stuff, though, yeah? Using Great Thief doodads in an official investigation. Whoa, enough of the death stares, Chief. I'm okay, okay? I'm cool, okay? I can keep it a secret. Anything for the truth, am I right? It's possible that vital evidence has already been destroyed. Without Kay's reproduction of the scene, we have no hope of finding it. Hey, relax. Like I said, I'll just zip it and nod politely when you cats do your thing. Thank you. That would be very helpful. I have moral objections to this, but I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. We should examine this area carefully. It may just hold a clue we need. The well was behind the stage, which means there aren't many people who could have thrown Knight's body down it during the show. This is looking worse and worse for Mr. Saint. If we're running off the assumption that Mr. Saint threw it down there, again, Knight could have been dragged through the tunnel completely. What are a bunch of pulleys doing here? They don't seem to be well pulleys for lifting the bucket. It's a sturdy-looking hemp rope lying on the ground. It reminds me of the ropes we used for playing tug-of-war in school. The answer is no, Kay. What? I didn't even say anything! Yet. I see it also has a metal stake attached to one end. Oh yeah, it looks like something you used to put up a tent. But there was no tent, was there? In which case, what was this used for? It's a metal weight of some kind. Looks like it weighs... the projection makes it a little tricky to read. Do you remember how heavy it was, Kay? I mean, I could read that pretty damn clearly. It says 30 lb. Sure, it was 30 pounds. A single 30-pound metal weight was found by the well. What does anyone need such a heavy weight for, anyway? Doesn't seem to be related to the circus show, at any rate. So what do you think all that stuff around the well was used for? Pulleys, a rope, and a weight. Can't see any of the animals needing them for their part of the performance. Indeed, nothing immediately strikes me as a likely purpose. We'll have to ask Miss Berry later. I suspect that's about all there is to find for now. Detective Gumshoe should be here soon, too. Kay, can you power down Mr. Thief now? Sure thing. Prepare to return to normality. Sorry, sir. I came as quick as I could. Speak of the devil. Ah, detective, that was indeed impressively quick. You know me, sir. Never did like to keep you waiting. Thanks for coming all this way too, Regina. No problem. This seemed way more fun than rehearsals, so I ditched them for today. It's very much appreciated. Alright, detective, let's get started with Missile. Yes, sir. Hey, Missile, over here, boy. What's the matter? Come on, boy. Come on. What's wrong with him? Looks like he's scared of something, sir. Yeah, probably the giant man-eating alligator. Ah! Alligator. Guess he's not a fan, sir. Well, I doubt he'll be of much help to us like this. Any other bright ideas, Mazzarino? Yes, actually. Miss Berry, would you mind lending us a hand? Oh, I'd love to. Just tell me what you need. You want me to teach Allie some tricks? I don't doubt she could do it, but nothing quite like that. I'd simply like an account of what the yard looked like during the show. I like where this is going. Thinking of using Little Thief again, am I right? Or am I right? Right. If you'd be so kind. Groundhog Day's coming up. Are you prepared to time loop? Okay, I've plugged in all the data. Firing up the simulation. Here you go. This is what the yard was like during the show. The time at which the body was purported to have been thrown down the well. Oh wow, this is so amazing. It's like magic. No magic here. Just sweet, sweet data. Which is why... the area behind the stage is missing. Yeah, Regina said she wasn't involved in getting the stage set up, so we don't have any data on what it was like back there. No data, no simulation, huh? Brutal. I'm so sorry, you guys. It's all because I let Simeon do everything by himself. Oh, no. It's all my frilly associate's fault. Objection, Fender. Anyway, we got a fresh simulation now, but we should still have the other data, too. I can switch back whenever you want the recreation of them taking down the stage. So we can examine the scenes both during and after the show. And switch between the two at will. We can switch recreations by using X to talk to with K. Now then, let's continue our investigation, shall we? bad as it looks, sir. Poor little guy's scared out of his skin. I had hoped to track down the scent again, but that clearly isn't in the cards right now. Edgeworth, don't step on his nose. What are you doing? Don't say a word, sir. I know just what you're looking for. It's written all over your face. It is. You still may be temporarily out of action, but my fishing rod is good to go whenever you need it. Oh, and if you want to give the metal detector a shot, I have that too. Never seen him so excited. I'll be sure to let you know if I need either of them, Detective. It appeared that we're missing some data for this point in time. Yep, that's about the size of it. You gotta go steal us some data. I don't steal data, Kay. I use logic and deduction to get what I need. Well, I'm more of an act first, think later gal. Please don't add to my workload with your recklessness. I would hate to have to order your arrest. So you come to visit the prison often, Regina? Sure do. I have so many little friends here. It's wonderful. And they're all such sweeties. The old faces and the new. I made a new friend only yesterday. Allie is just the cutest. Cute. That full-grown alligator lurking in the depths of the pond. You sure about that? Can't help worrying you could just walk up and then chomp, you know? Oh, don't be silly. She'd never do anything like that. Especially since she's not doing great. Or she hasn't been herself since yesterday. I'm so worried about her. You guys are worried too, right? Right? Yeah, totally. Super worried, right, Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, super. Don't rope me into this. The chairs are lined up neatly for the show. Then we know there were a few empty seats during the performance. Huh, something about this space, the way the seats are arranged. Reminds me of a karaoke contest I entered as a kid. You entered a karaoke contest? Sure did, and I came in second. Even in the depths of night, when no other bird dares to take flight. One alone soars to shine, the light of righteousness on the world's blight. Tell me you didn't actually sing that. Sure did. She did well to take second place, or perhaps stole is more apt. Or is it more that she failed to steal first place? I'm overthinking this. The basket was empty in the other recreation. Oh yeah, but it was definitely empty in the photo I took too. Oops, sorry, I made a mistake when I was filling you in earlier. Oh, that basket's for holding Isaiah's food, but on the morning of the show, all the apples that were in it had vanished. Poof. Totally forgot to mention it. Sorry. Disappearing apples. I should make a note of this. Food for Isaiah was in the cart until the day before the show, but was gone the next morning. It's the pen that held Isaiah, the Asian elephant. Now empty as the lady herself was on stage. Wonder how they got her in here in the first place. What do you mean? Well, the entrance to the yard is people-sized. And there's like a gazillion megawatts pumping through that fence. Kinda risky, no? Not if one turned off the electricity. Yeah, but then all the prisoners would escape. Through an entrance blocked by an elephant? I don't think so. This is a real puzzle, alright. Let me give her some more thought. She seems to be enjoying the challenge. I'll leave her to it. Now that's one impressive fence. Sure I could climb it if I... Please don't, it's electrified. Wonder what's on the other side. The warden's office, I believe. Guess she likes to keep a close eye on her pets. This facility would probably function better as a zoo than a prison. This pond is home to Warden Lagarde's beloved alligator. I think we've, Story of forbidden love between a tiger and an elephant. Wish I could have seen it. Wish I could have seen Simon up close there on stage, too. Oh, he was wonderful, the way he flew off that stage. Ah, yes, that scene. That was the thumbnail I made for yesterday, the scene of him getting knocked off the stage. This victory is depicted in a very unique manner, whereby the villain is sent flying from across the stage. From the stage. Yeah, that's the thumbnail for last night's stream. Don't tell me the alligator went vegetarian. No. Roughly how long would you say Mr. Saint was off stage for, Miss Berry? Let's see, I guess it was around 15 minutes. Just as Judge Gavel said. Isn't it pretty hairy health and safety-wise having an elephant fling a guy off the stage? Not at all. Isaiah's very gentle. Not sure it changes much if she flings him gently or roughly. Too gentle, in fact. When we first rehearsed it, she barely nudged him. But by the end, he was flying off that stage. Not because of Isaiah, though. Simon had figured out some kind of trick, apparently. Isn't that amazing? A trick. Do you have any idea what kind of trick? Who, me? Oh no, it was Simeon's big thing. I wouldn't know where to start. A trick of some kind enabled Isaiah to send Saint flying. I think I know what the trick is. Performance, 3:27, 8 a.m. Again, why would they perform at 8 in the morning? Why would you want to wake up that early to perform that early? I think you're correct, Overlord. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? You remember how Little Thief works, right? Yes, it creates a simulation I can interact with and investigate like a real crime scene. That's right. Just go around and poke at anything you find interesting. Oh, but don't forget that if we inputted the data wrong, then the recreation will be wrong too. If you see something weird, try presenting evidence to clear it up. Right. Actually, I'm still not very familiar with the new feature you mentioned. It's nothing complicated, but it lets you switch between different recreations. So the two we've got programmed right now are... the scene as it was during the show 2 days ago, and when they were tearing down the stage yesterday. Should remember to talk with Kay again if I need to switch recreations. Alright, you want me to change the recreation of yesterday's stage teardown? Here you go. This is how things looked when they were taking down the stage. Don't believe there's any more to be found here. It's weird that they said, they showed it without the check mark, though. Alright, you want me to change the recreation of the performance 2 days ago? Here you go. This is how things look during the show. We probably have enough information now to do something. Mr. Saint's big moment. 30-pound weight. Disappearing apples. Items around the well. Well, obviously... pulleys. I'm guessing... I can't remember, but I'm guessing that the 30-pound weight was tossed down the well to get Simeon to fly. So he didn't drop the body down there. The trick Mr. Saint performed for his big scene could have something to do with all the items that were found by the well. Okay, I'd like to have another look at the equipment around the well from yesterday. Can you have Mr. Thief bring up the recreation from when they were tearing down the stage? You got it. I like that she never corrects him on the fact that he's calling it the wrong thing. Taking another look at these items. Could they not have been used for the trick of Mr. Saint's? Sounds plausible enough. Hey, I can maybe add it to the simulation. Good idea. Please go and ask Mr. Saint for the details. Roger that. I'll be right back. I'm back, and he told me exactly how he did it. Excellent. Well, how does it work? He said he used the pulley at the top of the rope to suspend a heavy weight from a rope. Top of the well. To suspend a heavy weight from a rope. And lower that down into the well. The other end of the rope went through 2 more pulleys. And was tied around his body. I see, so he used the downward pull of the weight to help him launch himself into the air. But how did he make sure the weight only dropped when he wanted it to? He used the stake to stop it, that's how. Miss Berry didn't seem to know anything about the trick, or the contraption he built for it. In which case, I suppose it must have been Mr. Saint himself who pulled out that stake. That's right. To do that, he used a second length of rope. He tied it to the stake, and then when he gave it a sharp tug, the stake was released and the weight dropped down the well. It's a great trick. I had to steal it. This one has to go in the Great Thief's repertoire. It may not be quite that easy. These kinds of circus tricks can require years of practice to master. Simply stealing the idea won't be enough. Alright, practice it is then. Well, before you run away to do so, would you mind updating the simulation? Oh, right, then we can see how it all worked out for ourselves. Okay, I'm switching back to the recreation of the performance. Now to add in the data. Little Thief should be able to reproduce the trick now. So this is how Mr. Saint performed his trick. Contraption that used the well, very heavy weight, 3 pulleys, and 2 lengths of rope to send Saint flying during the show. Simon's full of surprises, huh? You're just full of surprises, Cloud. I mean, dropping a weight down a well to help him fly off stage like that? That's genius. Indeed, but I imagine you would have needed quite a weight. More than him, at the very least. It would have taken some serious pull to lift him into the air like that. Something heavier than Saint himself would be needed for the trick to work. I was going to say the same thing. It couldn't have been a single 30-pound weight. That would have just tugged on him and probably pulled him against the wall, painfully. Yeah, and probably a ton of practice. It's one heavy weight. Kind of makes you think how much this must all be weighing on Simeon. It does. I'm not sure I quite see it for myself. Oh? Too bad we don't have the real thing here. Otherwise, I'd hang it around your neck like a big old albatross. Then we'll see how you like it. You'd face some stiff resistance if you tried, I could promise you that. Mr. Saint used the well to construct a contraption that would send him flying from the stage. Made clever use of 2 ropes. This tarp looks just like the ones we saw in the workshop. This tarp is just like the one we saw in the workshop. Yes, but why is it here? But why is it here? Are you okay, Mr. Edgeworth? You've gone kind of blank. And I intend to stay blank until you stop stealing my thoughts. Okay, time for more logic. Bruh. Doubt this would be... Oh, it is. Okay. Wait, doesn't this seem odd to you? No? You haven't noticed, Detective. There's something strange about the weight we found. What it's made of, how there's only one, how heavy it is, how there's only one. The problem is the number of weights. That is to say, the one weight on its own would not have been heavy enough. A single 30-pound weight couldn't have lifted Mr. Saint off the ground. Oh, yeah. In which case, could there perhaps be some weights missing? Sounds like a job for my 7 secret weapons, sir. Should the need to use them arise, I suppose I should speak with him then. Insufficient weight, disappearing apples. I was right too, okay. The apples in the basket were likely eaten by Isaiah. Really? That's strange. I made sure to put the cart where her trunk couldn't reach them. Are you sure about that? Oh yes, it was still full of apples the night before the show. And we must consider the possibility that the cart was moved somewhere within Isaiah's reach. A large basket full of apples couldn't have been moved by the wind, which likely means somebody moved it for a reason. So before the show had even started, the cart had been moved and its apples eaten. Yes, that seems to be the most probable timeline. Let's update the recreation, Kay. Will do. I'll add that into the simulation of the performance, then. Updating based on what Regina told us now. There, all done. Little wonder it smelled of animals. It was being used for the elephant. Told Isaiah's apples, right? Yep, it was full of them the day before the show. So they vanished overnight. Oh, did you figure something out, Mr. Edgeworth? Quite possibly. Really? 'Cause I don't know. Could have been the weight, right? No. My brain hurts. That doesn't add up. Better think again. Don't say a word, sir. Oh, if you want to give the metal detector a shot, I have that too. Never seen him so excited. Oh, okay, I can't actually ask him to do it. So these do go together. Detective, I have need of one of your secret weapons. Roger that. The metal detector, if you would be so kind. Aw, geez. Never gonna get to use my fishing rod. Apple. Before we get started, let me run you through how the metal detector works, sir. It's simple enough. It uses this sound and this gauge to tell you how close you are to something made of metal. The closer you get, the more strongly it'll react. When it starts going wild like this, just give me the order to examine the spot where I'm standing. Say, what do we got here? Oh, the fence. Anyway, that's how it all works. Burp. You tell me where you want to look, sir, and I'll get right on it. So, I have a very distinct memory of this part of the game in the fan translation chugging really hard. Desmune, or it was either Desmune in general, just like with this meter and the sound effect, or it was the ROM specifically I was using for the fan translation. Something about it just wasn't working very well during this very specific moment. And I remember the game was just like running at like 20% speed. Getting warmer, but still weak, sir. We're close, sir. There's something metallic nearby. Playable Gumshoe was too powerful for the emulator, yeah. I got something. There's something here, sir. Oh, it's a gold coin, sir. What a find. It'll go down in history. It's cool you get to control him, at least briefly, yeah. I don't imagine a gold coin would stay hidden long in a prison yard. Oh, you found it. Never would have guessed it was hiding there this whole time. That's one of the coins for the big coin hunt we hold out once every 2 weeks. That's kind of interesting. Must be fun for the whole family. Sure is. Prisoners have to hunt the coins the warden buried around the yard. If they find 3 silver coins or 1 gold coin, they can swap them for a jelly donut. So is it a rice ball in the Japanese version? First a show, now a treasure hunt. Is this a prison or a playground? Used to want a Gumshoe game, but you don't see that happening. Yeah. They don't want the lawyers to be like to not have the spotlight. Like these games could have been a Gumshoe game, but they wanted to focus on Edgeworth. All right, let's get back to it. Close, sir. There's something nearby. The controller has a little bit of an HD rumble when you hit a spot. Found something. There's something here, sir. Don't see anything metallic. What did the detector pick up? Guess it must have just picked up some iron sand. Iron sand, as in sand you could pick up with a magnet. That's the stuff. You could find it at the beach sometimes. And also, I got just the thing that you need right here. Introducing secret weapon number 6 or 7. Are you making this up as you go along? A seemingly ordinary magnet I found at the hardware store. Watch this. I just bring it out close to the ground and... ta-da! It's picking up the iron! Woo! Come on, little guys. Come to Papa. Must be nice to be so easily entertained. Regardless, the investigation must continue. Oh, he also just would not make a good central protagonist, yeah. He's too much of a joke character, unfortunately. Ace Attorney pay cut adventures. It's also weird because, like, it's implied, because, like, the bug detector that you use in the second game is one that he himself made when he was in, like, high school. So it's implied he had a lot of technical know-how. He's just not very good at deductive reasoning. No response to the metal detector, sir. It's kind of sad, really, but let's keep looking. Detective, there'll be time to chat later. We have an investigation to conduct. Yes, sir. Sir, I'm picking up something over here. Let's take a little look-see. Huh? Found these little guys in the grass. The same weight as that we found by the well. It must be from Mr. Saint's trick. Did someone hide these here on purpose? I count 4 altogether, sir. They would be more heavy enough. They would be more than heavy enough to send him flying. So there were so it was 150 pounds. So Samian's pretty damn light. Well, I guess 150 pounds is average weight. So somebody hid several of the same weights as the one by the well. But why? And why over here? Yes, nice work, me. Ah! Alligator! That thing nearly gave me a heart attack. Huh? What's the matter, detective? It's the metal detector, sir. It's, reacting to the alligator. What? How? You're sure it's not responding to the weights we just found? No, sir. I'm sure this is something different. And I'm sure it's coming from the alligator. And she's gone. Huh, we scared that big snapper good. I don't think that's it, Kay. Huh? Then, what is it? Allie hasn't been herself lately. That's the name, Allie, the warden's favorite pet. She wouldn't even look at the food Warden Lagarde brought her yesterday. She was acting as if, I don't know, as if maybe she'd eaten something that didn't agree with her. Maybe the metal detector was responding to whatever she ate, sir. Oh no, what if she ate one of the weights? Highly doubt that even an alligator could swallow a 30-pound lump of iron. So what did the metal detector actually pick up there? And why would someone hide those weights? Perhaps I missed something when I looked at the equipment by the well. Okay, could you recreate the scene again? Coming right up. Anything to drag this out any longer. She ate coins, yeah. I ate the fucking Wii. I'll scour the scene and inspect anything that catches my attention. What exactly am I looking for? There's something to deduce here, and I don't know what it would be. Actually, I only see one rope, so maybe that's it. Discard on top of Knight's body. Discard on top of Knight's body. Does this mean the victim was tied up? Eureka! That wasn't it. This piece of evidence reveals a contradiction in the scene of the crime. Gonna need some specifics here, Mr. Edgeworth. Gotta say, I don't get it either, sir. Well, if you look here... Come on, sir, you gotta give us more than that. Yes, this contraption. I'm not imagining things, it's missing something. Eureka! Maybe I'm missing the... 2 lengths of rope. Probably have to use this one. Eureka! Yeah, there we go. I mean, the rope on Knight's body is clearly the other rope. Think about the 2 recreations. The one during the performance and the one we're looking at right now. There's a major difference between the 2. Namely, one of the ropes is missing. Oh yeah, Mr. Saint's trick wouldn't work with only one of the items we see before us. So what happened? Where did the missing rope go? I think one of the pieces of evidence we've collected might tell us exactly that. Really? What shows us where the missing rope went? Take that! This rope was found beside Knight's body. Wait, you mean... Yes, it must have been the other rope used in Mr. Saint's trick. So you're saying... Yes, that this rope did indeed have a weight attached to it. But it wasn't any of the iron weights we found. Those were hidden in the bushes and replaced with something else. What was it, Mr. Edgeworth? Come on, I'm dying here. Think about what rope we found in the workshop was related to. Do that and you'll soon figure out the answer for yourself. The weight dropped down the well in place of the weights was...
Take that!
Mr. Knight's body. It could only have been Knight's body that was dropped down the well. What? Mr. Knight's body was the weight? Yes. Somebody first swapped out the weights used for Mr. Saint's trick. Then Mr. Saint used the contraption on stage to make his exit. When he let the rope around his body loose, both the rope and Knight's body fell to the bottom of the well. That rope was never used to restrain Knight. It was used to suspend his body halfway down the well. From this we can easily see why most of the weights were hidden. It's that no one would realize they'd been replaced with the body. Precisely. We can then further deduce that they were hidden by the killer. Whoa there, gang. Wasn't poor old Bronco stabbed in the neck? Wouldn't there be blood everywhere, including down the well? Oh, the killer thought of that. That's why they used this. What did the killer use to stop Knight's blood from going everywhere?
Take
The
that!
bloody tarp. This tarp was found with the body. I think it's likely that Knight's corpse was wrapped in it. Oh, another piece of the puzzle falls into place. It's all coming together now. Love it. But all we're doing is proving that the body did go down the well, which means we're helping prove that Simeon was the killer. No, not quite. What Judge Gavell said yesterday. Ah, but if Mr. Saint truly is the killer, then why would he need to go to such lengths to commit his crime? That's true. Knight's body fell down the well when Mr. Saint used his contraption during the show. Therefore, it reveals nothing about where the real killer actually was or what they were doing at the time. It's only designed to throw suspicion onto those who were not at the show. Yeah, I guess we did suspect Mr. Canis right away, huh? That was the killer's goal, to make us think that the crime took place during the show. In other words, they used the well contraption to construct an alibi. Miss Berry, when exactly did Mr. Saint put his contraption together? It would have to have been the day before the show. Night, actually. Yes, we started getting ready for the show at around 9 p.m. And I think we finished around midnight? In which case, the killer must have switched the weights out for the body after that point. Mr. Saint's trick updating the organizer. Did Canis know about this contraption? Even if he did, he wouldn't have been able to do much with it. And I highly doubt he taught his dog to suspend bodies halfway down wells. Which means Canis isn't the killer. Have some more logic. The basket was moved the night before the circus performance, and we deduced that the weights were switched out for the body around the same time. Hard to chalk it up to coincidence, huh? And the next question we should be asking is, why was the cart moved? I think I could hazard a guess. The cart would have been blocking that door, which can only mean that somebody needed to open it. Now let's see what's... Oh, great, it's locked. Let me ask a guard for help. Hey, Mr. Guard! What the fuck am I looking at here? Yes, miss, what can I do for you? That was fast. Guard, where's the key for this door? Oh, the warden keeps hold of that. I'll go ask her for it. Warden Lagarde is the only one with the key. Meaning if somebody did open the door, they would have had to get it from her somehow. Thanks for the help. Look at all these breakers. They must control electricity for the whole prison. So we're thinking somebody got in here the night before the show, right? But why? What were they trying to do? Well, I doubt they came in here by mistake, thinking it was a break room. They must have come to tamper with the switches. Probably the camera, because the camera was off. Did they turn off... Did they turn off the power to some... Did they turn off the... Did they turn off the power to something? That's not right. Did they turn off the power to something? Why is turn in past tense there? I'm learning. Game ruined. Come to think of it, wasn't there something that lost power? What might have lost power that a breaker had been flipped? Had a breaker been flipped?
Take that!
There was a 3-hour gap in the security camera footage. Oh yeah, there was. So somebody flipped the breaker it was connected to? It seems very likely. Do you think it was the killer? It's true that shutting off the cameras would have made things easier for them. It would, which means... Shut the fuck up, Kay, you made a grammatical error. Hey, Edgeworth somehow said appropriate with 4 P's in it. He misspelled a word by saying it, somehow. The killer would have had to have been someone who had access to the breakers. And it seems the only person who has the key... No, it couldn't be, could it? Located in the power room just off the prison yard. Were they tampered with the night before the body was found? Alright, little thief, your work here is done. Delete that elephant. Ah, my health is back. What are you talking about, Mr. Edgeworth? Love how Twitch has warned me numerous times about messages being potentially harmful or rude. Yeah, if you type in all caps, it like auto tries to catch it. It's like, hey, you're probably saying something aggressive. It's like, shut up. Shut the hell up, Twitch. What do you know about handling aggression properly? What do you know about proper moderation? Hmm? First in the scene, the early bird wins the worm. Not that, it's me saying to shut the fuck up, yeah. Good morning, Mr. Winner. What? You? How'd you get here before me? Good morning, Mr. Edgeworth. I see you've made an early start. And I see you made a late one, Judge Gavel. I see you're here with your stupid face and gavel. She just immediately, like, just pounds him in the head. Oh, I never replenished my, green tea yesterday. Okay, I better do that tonight. This is not my only case. I am a very busy woman. Recently, I've been persecuting this little girl named Iris. She apparently helped cover up a body a few months ago. Do you know anything about that, Edgeworth? No. Shut up. Not all of us enjoy the freedom of a prosecutor relieved of his only current responsibility. Ugh. Oh, I do apologize. Jobless McGee there. I meant, of course, as an associate attorney. Associate? More like asinine. Ha! That's a reference to something that doesn't exist in one of the collections. We'll see about that. Eustace, let's begin the investigation of the yard. Okay, I'll go get some officers to help.
Hold it!
That won't be necessary. Why not? We've already finished investigating the yard, and we won quite the prize in the process. Won? But I'm supposed to be the winner. I'm the boss. What was the reference? Missed something. He made a Winner made a reference to asinine. He said asinine, like asinine attorney. He was calling attorney because he was saying. Let me just pull it up. It's easier to explain it this way. Yeah, Gavel mockingly referred to Edgeworth as an associate attorney, and used to says more like asinine. Asinine Attorney is the name of the DLC segments from the 6th game. So I'm wondering if that was added specifically to reference that, since this localization is fairly new. Your Honor, I'd like to revisit your theory from yesterday. If you just said the word asinine, I wouldn't say that's a reference, but the fact that it's connected with the phrase associate attorney leads me to believe that it was chosen as a reference. I don't know. I feel embarrassed now that I brought it up. Shit. In order to thoroughly disprove it. I would caution you to choose your words carefully, Mr. Edgeworth. As I'm sure you remember, your badge is in my hands. How could I forget? You've told me several dozen times already. Perhaps you'd care to try a different threat.
Overruled!
You have been warned repeatedly, yes, and each time my words seem to have fallen on deaf ears. Allow me to make this crystal clear. The committee cannot and will not tolerate insubordination.
Objection!
The fate of my badge and the whims of the committee are of no concern to me now. The only thing that concerns me is proving Samian Saint's innocence. Interesting. And spoken like a true defense attorney. In that case, I shall be equally uncompromising. In the name of the goddess of justice, I will strike down your case without mercy. And when I am done, your career as a prosecutor will be over as well. Actually, I do wonder how much of this translation was maybe partially done back in 2011. They've been sitting on, or if the decision not to localize was made super early. I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, 2010, 2011 was very much back during Capcom's kind of, like, their era. That was, like, 2010, 2011 was when they completely destroyed Mega Man. So it wouldn't surprise me that they just said right off the bat, we're not bringing that game over. We're focusing on the 3DS. They might have at least had the names and stuff down back then. True. That is a possibility. I hope you do not come to regret this. Come. Judge Gavel's theory. Yo, do you think she could? Do you think she's got some nasty dunks going on? Think she could friggin' palm that ball right into that in that basket? Also, there's a parrot up there. Look, there's a parakeet. Did you know there are actually wild parakeets? Did I just hear you say heck come? Yes, I did. Okay, I laughed at the joke because I'm inappropriate. Did you know that there are actually wild parakeets in New York? Like New York City? If you go to Long Island, if you type in Long Island parakeets in Google, they show up. I think what happened was they were being imported into America, and like a crate full of them all broke out, and they just live in the city. They just live out on Long Island. So there's just wild parakeets in New York. It's actually pretty funny. Meanwhile, you go to Staten Island, and that place is overrun with turkeys. All because of there's wild peacocks in Houston for similar reasons. Yeah, the biggest story like that is that in Staten Island, someone owned like 9 pet turkeys, and she just released them. Or I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was a man or a woman. Apparently they had gone to like a mental hospital to get help, and one of the actions they took, I don't know if this is a result of going to the mental hospital or before they went to it, they apparently let their 9 pet turkeys go free, and through years of breeding, Staten Island is just overrun with turkeys now. Like you'll walk down the street on Staten Island, and there will just be wild turkeys like crossing the street, and they will chase you because they are aggressive. They don't really chase you, but they don't take shit. If you annoy them, they will peck at you. I saw one walking around back when I went there to see Spider-Verse in theaters. Wow. Peacocks are cool. I've never actually seen one up close. I've never actually seen a turkey up close either, because I've never really walked around Staten Island. Judge Gavel's theory. But before I go on here, the Staten Island turkey thing actually is kind of like recent too. Like not recent, but like I think the initial like releasing of them happened in like 98, 99. It was not a long time ago. Like nowadays, it's wild how many turkeys are on Staten Island, but like this wasn't a thing prior to 2000. It's a fairly recent chapter in Staten Island's history. Anyway, Judge Gavel's theory. My theory remains the same as when I related it to you yesterday. Mr. Carcerado did not see Mr. Knight's body when he passed through the tunnel. As such, the body could have only been dropped down the well during the show. We both know the only one who could have dropped the body down there during the show is Mr. Saint. That's still your assertion, and you can prove it, of course. Of course she can! Who do you think you're up against? Oh, there's actually 2 parrots up there. Look, there's a green one. What Eustace means to say is that we received the final autopsy report just ahead of our arrival. She really is a very busy woman, busy looking after baby Winner here. Victim appears to have died the night before the body was discovered. In other words, the night before the show. The cause of the death is as stated. Seems the wound is 4 inches deep. Estimated time of death is between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. on the 27th. Instant death from a stab wound to the neck. Simeon Saint was off stage for a period of 15 minutes. That was plenty of time for him to throw the victim's body down the well. Judge Gavell hasn't investigated the yard yet, which means... fear there may be something of a flaw with your theory, Your Honor. You seem very confident of that. But do you have any evidence to prove it? Yes, I think I just might. Clearly the most important event to happen in New York around the turn of the millennium. Oh my god. I don't want to go into, into a discussion about events that happened during those few years in New York City. I will say that, there was an extent to which that event became a personal thing. But I'm not going to go into detail about it because it doesn't involve me directly, but it involves people I know. So, or at least knew back then. So I'd rather not discuss the details of such events right now, or ever really. This stream isn't really the place to talk about sad shit. Again, I live fairly close to New York City. Hey! Hit Nerd Games, thank you so much, Derek. Thank you for the raid. How y'all doing? Let me give you a shout out. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you so much. No, whoa, almost hit raid. Almost re-rated. Oh, Twitch, I hate when you do this. Okay, there we go. You're streaming Mega Man X4 tonight. Nice, it's my favorite one. Thank you. Thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate it. Hey, everyone. If you're all from the... He was streaming Peak, yeah. If you're all from the GVG community, I'm Michael Macaw. I'm one of the EPs over at GVG. You probably see my name come up at the end of the videos. I'm a variety PNG tuber streamer. Variety streamer / PNG tuber. Right now, we are playing through the second case of Ace Attorney Investigations 2, Prosecutor's Gambit. A game that I have experience with. How's Ace Attorney Investigations 2 going? Pretty good. I've played the fan translation before, but this official translation is solid. I'm enjoying it. Again, I'm really streaming these more for my friends that are here in the audience, the stream audience, the chat. I'm just looking for an excuse to replay them, so this is why I'm doing it. And the collection's coming out with like the perfect time to do it, especially since I started the original trilogy last year. Mega Man X4 somehow really broken on the Linux deck for some reason, just that one specifically. Oh, thanks, Shellshock. That alert never gets used, because we never get bit cheers on the channel. Am I friend? Yeah, you're friend. You've been here for the last couple days. Anyway, thank you so much, Derek. If you're here, if you need to head out and take care of stuff, thank you so much again, and I will take good care of the GVG community, and your community as well. Anyway, we're cross-examining here. My theory remains the same as when I related to yesterday. Mr. Carcerado did not see Mr. Knight's body when he passed through the tunnel. As such, the body could have only been dropped in the well during the show. Thank you for the gift subbing. Hype chain just started. Cool. Limited time to earn exclusive emotes, guys. By the way, since we just got another sub now, and another follower, I just want to point out, I am 9 sub points away from another emote, and, animated emote, and I am 1 follower away from 700. So, while I absolutely don't push for the subs, I very much appreciate them. That said, if you want to drop a follow, I very much appreciate that, too. I'm currently aiming to try to hit 750 within the next, I wouldn't say year, probably next couple months. Wouldn't it be crazy if you got a gift sub? I mean, it would. As such, the body could have only been dropped down during the well during the dropped down the well during the show. Both know that the only one who could have dropped the body down there during the show is Mr. Saint. Body could have been dropped during the show. We both know the only one that could have dropped it during the show is Mr. Saint.
Hold it!
Are you sure about that? Could nobody else have done it? I understand that Miss Berry was on stage for the entire performance. Most of the prisoners were watching the show. And those who were not have plausible alibis. What about the guards? They too were watching the show. As was the warden. Thank you so much. And thanks, Shellshock. That's you're kidding, please no, too late, you already got it. How can you be so sure? A god could have easily approached the well unnoticed. Oh my god, I'm flubbing everything tonight. None of the guards left their posts during the show. I've checked this for myself, you know. I took statements from each and every one of them. Ah, she's thorough, I'll give her that. Are you finally ready to accept the truth? That the killer could have only been... Okay, anyone who else has played this, how do you pronounce this guy's name? Is it Simeon or Simeon? Because the way Eddie Fender said it, he called him Simony. Simony Saint. So I'm led to believe it's pronounced Simeon, not Simeon. So that's how I've been saying it. Judge Gavelle hasn't carried out a full investigation of the yard yet, which means we gotta take advantage for the change. We got the advantage for a change. Whoops. Should review the investigation. Investigation of the yard. My theory remains the same as... Okay. Yeah, seriously, thank you, everyone. Thank you for the follows and subs. Especially you, Shellshock. Thank you.
Hold it!
Could you talk us through your reasoning on that a little more? The day before the performance, Mr. Knight borrowed the keys from Mr. Carcerado. Or more specifically, the key to his cell. Mr. Knight then used the key to leave his cell and enter Mr. Saint's cage. Mr. Saint took Knight to the yard in the cage, and that's where he killed him. Had to rush your PC before the hype train was over not to have pay the extra they charge you. Yeah, don't sub through the apps, because there's a surcharge. Thank you, Ayla. You didn't have to do that for me, I appreciate it. The following day, Mr. Carcerado crawled his way through the tunnel. That's the wrong voice. But there was no body there yet. Wait a second, that doesn't add up. Mr. Carcerado smelled that sweet smell. So Mr. Knight must have been in the tunnel already. No, his body did not pass through the tunnel until sometime after Mr. Carcerado had crawled through it. Level 5 hype train emotes are the best emotes. I don't think we're hitting level 5 here. If we did, I'd ask them to hurry up and localize that new Layton game. Mr. Carcerado used the tunnel right around this time as the show was starting. Need Frog Ponder. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Will Sandwich. Body was discovered for the first time just after the performance was ended, from which you deduce that the body could have only been thrown down the well during the show. Yes, and who the culprit must be. Bum, bum, bum. One of the streamers you're fond of made an emote for the level 5 hype train. The thing is, there's no emotes for the... There's no user emotes for the hype trains. That's just a regular emote slot being used for it. Used during the show to send Saint flying. I guess just present the trick here.
Objection!
Yep. Cheers to that. Sorry, Your Honor, but there's something else you're going to have to take into account. Hey, Jaden Buck, thank you so much. Emote by a furry streamer you watch. Cool. The well in the yard was rigged up to create a certain unique contraption. A contraption? Go on. You will recall that Mr. Saint was sent flying from the stage by the elephant. I do, just before he was to be absent for some time. He was only able to fly through the air thanks to a weighted rope he tied around himself. Did you hear something? I heard a sound there. Dropping the weighted end down the well allowed him to complete the trick.
Objection!
Wait, wouldn't that send him flying as soon as he set foot in the stage?
Hold it!
It's simple, really, if he kept the weight from falling by using a stake to keep the rope in place. With the second rope, he was able to pull the stake free, thereby controlling when the weight was dropped. We've found evidence to suggest that the original weight was replaced with Knight's body. This was done by the real killer in order to create an alibi. The estimated time of death tells us that the murder took place early in the morning. The killer could have tampered with the contraption in the time between the murder and the show.
Objection!
You're saying Mr. Saint himself set this contraption upright? Blech. Well then, who do you think is the number one most likely person to have used it to dispose of a body, Even you must see how this looks.
Objection!
If Mr. Saint was the killer, he could have simply done as Judge Gavelle theorized, without these extra steps. Miss Berry? Yes? Yeah, yes? Sorry. Exciting night tonight, huh? Does anyone else know how Mr. Saint's trick works? Well, let's see. We had to get the prison's approval on what we were going to perform. So I don't think Simeon's the only one who knows. And there you have it.
Overruled.
Interesting. You certainly have been diligent in your investigation. And yet I fail to comprehend your actions still. Why do you not work to do what is right? Is what I'm doing wrong? If so, then who is it that deems it so? How can you not grasp even that? How can you not see that you're doing wrong at this very moment? You are a prosecutor, and yet you aid the defense. This flies in the face of common sense. You're breaking every rule in the book. I think only of what is right and just, and I act as I see fit in each situation I am confronted with. This is the path I have chosen, and whether you can comprehend that choice is immaterial. But if you mean to stand in my way, I will fight back with all I can bring to bear. We gotta get Mr. Carcerado here if we need a bear. Oh, there's a white parrot up there, too. Gonna lurk, but have fun. Thanks, Shellshock. And thank you again for everything tonight. Perhaps the goddess of justice is testing me. Very well, if it's her that we must fight, then I shall end this once and for all. Listen well, Mr. Edgeworth. There's another reason why only Mr. Saint can be the killer. We got 3 subs and 200 bits during that hype train. I got the button mash emote. Nice. That's a great emote. So, like, how long are those unlocked? Is that, like, that's not permanent, right? Twitch hype train. Oh, no, I got all the other ones, too. Oh, I guess they must be permanent, huh? I still have Frog Ponder from the other day. Also, thank you. We are now surpassing 700 follows. We are 49 away from the current goal. Ultimately, my goal here is 1,000, but, like, I know I'm not going to be able to hit that super quickly unless I like, do something super noticeable that gets, like, a ton of people in here all at once. So, I'm breaking it down to 250 chunks right now. Once I hit 1,000, I'm probably going to go for 1,500. I mean, it's just natural growth. It's just a goal to have. It is permanent. Okay. One of my favorite phrases, it's permanent. I love that phrase. It's such a good phrase. Listen well, Mr. Edgeworth, for there is another reason why only Mr. Saint can be the killer. Why Saint is the suspect. If the body was moved from the yard to the workshop, then Mr. Knight must have been first brought here to the yard from his cell. The only person who had the opportunity to do that is Simeon Saint, and thus he remains the only plausible suspect. Mr. Saint took a cage with him to Mr. Knight's cell. But why would he do that? I think this is the one I got. Didn't get the notification since I subbed on PC, then shut it back down. Oh. Rip Frog Ponder. I will frog pond for you as much as you need. Can I alter those? Probably not, right? It's only for my own emotes. You can gigantify the hype train emotes. The good one emote is also made by him, Simon Red. Really? That's cool. The frog ponder is actually a balloon frog. Oh my god. I love that. I'm so glad I have that. Mr. Saint took a cage with him to Mr. Knight's cell. But why would he do that? Why take such an unwieldy object all the way to the holding cells? Yeah, it is pretty sus. Oh, come on, Kay. This was not localized now. But we've all met Mr. Saint. That's the kind of thing he would do. It's entirely plausible that he took the cage with him out of absent-mindedness and nothing else. Saw in the level 2 pool of emotes there was a balloon dog taking a balloon shit. Huh. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe plausible, but it's no more or less plausible than having him helped Mr. Knight to escape. I need some real solid evidence here if I'm going to get her to budge. Body was moved to the workshop, and Mr. Knight must have first been brought here from the yard to the yard from his cell. The only person who had that opportunity to do that is Samian Saint, and thus he remains the only plausible suspect.
Hold it!
You're certain nobody else had the opportunity. Need I remind you that we are in a prison? The entire facility is monitored at all times. Anything out of the ordinary would have been spotted.
Hold it!
Mr. Saint was under the same scrutiny, was he not?
Overruled!
The warden had granted the members of the circus troupe special access. As a member of that troupe, under the supervision of Miss Berry, he is the only person who was free to wander where he willed.
Objection!
It seems you've forgotten something, Your Honor.
Overruled!
Forget is not a word in my vocabulary, Mr. Edgeworth. There's another bird up there! There's 4 of them! This is awesome! A 4th bird approaches. Very well, then recall this fact, if you will. You claim that Mr. Saint is the only person who was free to walk around the prison. But there was a brief period in that time of day of the crime in this prison. A time when it would have been entirely possible for anyone to move through the prison, entirely unmonitored. What do I have to show that there was a period on the day of the crime where oversight was limited? See, I hear oversight and I think that means that, you know, I take that as, oversight as in they couldn't see it.
Take that!
This piece of evidence proves that. Well, Eustace, what do you make of this? Oh, it was the security camera, whoops. Yes, interesting. Well, as we all know, most people have legs, therefore, pretty much anybody could have walked around the prison that day. Yes, but could they have walked around freely? Oh, no, impossible. Rebuted by Mr. Winner of all people. Have you learned your lesson yet, Edgeworthless? Stop calling me that. Judge Gavel's latest assertion relies on the prison security systems having been in full working order. Must have something that proves that wasn't the case.
Hold it! Hold it! Overruled! Objection! Overruled!
It's really funny when you, like, speed through it and you just hear the voice clips repeatedly. Anyway, she was here when we found out that the tapes were messed up, so...
Take that!
Mr. Saint is far from the only one who had the opportunity. Which opportunity are we talking about again? We'd previously established that the time code in the security footage was off by 3 hours. And from this we can deduce that there must have been a power outage lasting for that length of time, during which anyone could have moved around the prison undetected. So I'm going to have fun with this case. I mean, it's almost over. Do you mean to say that our killer intentionally created this 3-hour gap? That it was no simple camera malfunction? Is that even possible? Also, hey, Ephraim. Are they suddenly increasing over time, or are we just not noticing them until later? We're just not noticing them. It's because the area keeps getting blocked off. Anyway, breakers now. When you play it, that is. Oh. Our investigation of the yard turned up something rather interesting. Panel of breakers, one of which was used to cut the power to the security cameras. We also learned the door to the power room may have been opened around the time of the murder. What? Such a shame to see one so capable fall so short of the mark. Mr. Edgeworth knows what he's doing. Then how does he explain on the lock on the power room door? Oh yeah, it was kind of locked up tight. And the warden's the only one with the key. Those breakers are vital to the prison's infrastructure. So I very much doubt that anyone could have gained access to the power room's key so easily.
Objection!
Okay, my question is, why is the power room on the side of the electric fence that the prisoners go into? Why would that room not be on the other side of the fence, where the prisoners can't get to? That seems like an oversight. No, but one person could have. I beg your pardon? That person, the killer, had easy access to it, in fact. 2 separate streamers have asked that same thing, really? I only just realized that now. I'm like, why is the power room on the side where the prisoners can reach? Like, yeah, it's locked, but like, one of them has a lockpick or some shit. They're getting in there and they're turning off the power to the electric fence. No, why is the power to the electric fence on the side meant to keep the people in? What's more, their position here is such that nobody would dare question them.
Objection!
What? There's no one like that. The breaker to the electric fence is in there. They would be questioned in an instant. There's only one person who meets these criteria. I can hardly believe it myself, but I have to follow where the logic leads. The person who had access to the power room key was...
Take that!
The real culprit is... Warden Lagarde. The bald weirdo. No, he's already been a murderer. He can't be a murderer again. Bork. Oh, just look at you. Aren't you the cutest little poochie woo? Oh, you mean Canis. I thought you were talking about Saw It, because Saw It wears a wig. I mean, they both killed people, so... He's not just a pretty face. Missile also has quite the nose for sweet things. Seems he's smelling something very sweet indeed, and it's coming from you. Oh, darling, you're making me blush. I'm not even wearing perfume. Then perhaps it's the sweet stench of death. You're a regular poet, aren't you? I had no idea. But if I didn't know better, I'd almost think you were calling moi the killer. That is precisely what I'm calling you. What? Warden Lagarde is the killer? Mr. Edgeworth, do you realize what you're saying? Oh, such a naughty boy. How could he suspect me, I'm the one in charge around here. Looks like we're in a murder mystery, aren't we? And equally far-fetched. This is preposterous.
Hold it!
Sadly, it is not, although I can hardly believe it myself. But this is where the evidence points, and we must trust in the evidence. We must thrust the evidence in the face of the killer. This piece of evidence proves that Warden Lagarde is the killer. It's not the sweet scent, is it? Wait, what am I supposed to present here? This proves that you are the killer. Darling, please, that's your damning evidence. There's nothing to do with me whatsoever, and you know it. Looks like that wasn't it. Missile smelled something on Warden Lagarde right now. Okay, it is the sweet scent. Whatever it is, could be the key to this case. You're a hoot, Mr. Edgeworth, really you are. But can we dispense with the jokes now, This is no joke, Warden. You are the killer. Really? Well, could you at least try and present some plausible evidence?
Take that!
Your scent betrays you, Warden. And here is your accuser. This dog with the really black-looking gums. That's kind of fucked up, actually. Ouija, that's kind of fucked up. The police dog. We had him track a sweet scent that was lingering around Knight's body back when it was first found. He now appears to be smelling the same scent, and it's coming from you. Oh, darling. You're priceless, really you are. Your evidence is a whiff of suspicion. Dog gums are like that in some breeds. Alright. Verity, dear, do put him in his place. Seems Judge Gavel may have reached a similar conclusion to myself. You believe this to be no mere coincidence, Mr. Edgeworth? I do. After all, she had the key, and the scent found lingering on the body is hers as well. Were it just one or the other, we might be able to brush it off as coincidence. However... Indeed, it seems a conclusion approaches... Whoa. Perhaps we should hear what the warden has to say for herself. We should, and when we have, this case will finally be at an end. You're all being simply awful. Stop looking at me like that. Me, the killer? How could I possibly... something, I didn't read it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it! How could I possibly do such a thing? Verity told me everything she knows about the case, sweetie. The victim died in his cell, so by your logic, I would have had to have killed him there. But how am I supposed to have moved the body? Especially as I never went into the prison. I was too busy with work, you see. I was cooped up in my office until right before the show began. Check if you like. You won't find a record anywhere of I having entered or left the prison proper. I haven't the first idea what harebrained theories you little scamps have cooked up, but I'm innocent. There's simply no way I could be the killer. Give me a break. Missile doesn't lie. Don't make it hard on everyone and just come clean. Oh dear, I'm afraid you are the one making things difficult. As I just said, I never went into the prison. If you think I'm lying, go ahead and check the records. She clearly wants us to check those records, which means they won't help us. We'll just have to find another way of getting the truth out of her. Please, Mr. Edgeworth, stop being a big silly. You made a boo-boo and you know it. I am so... my brain is so messed up right now. Is it Wednesday on the East Coast, or is it Thursday? I have to check the calendar. It's Thursday. Wait, so I don't know why my brain was like really confused for a second about what day of the week it was. It's Thursday morning where I am. It's still Wednesday in most of the or in half of the country. I got really confused for a second. I'm like, wait a minute. What did I eat for dinner on Monday? I only remember my dinners from tonight and yesterday. Don't ask me why my brain went in that direction. It just did. She already told me everything she knows about the case. Well, I don't remember.
Hold it!
Shit. Judge Gavelle told you everything. Are you close? Thick as thieves, darling. Why do you ask? Are you jealous? Jealous of what? I had to ask Warden Lagarde for a lot of information on the first day of our investigation. It seemed only right that I share some information in return. Oh, Verity, you do have to make it sound so awfully dry. But we had a lovely chat. I simply shared the truth in our conversation. It was the least I can do. I'm not sure what's going on with these two. They're terrifyingly formidable together.
Hold it!
The murder took place in a cell. You seem very happy to accept that. And why shouldn't I be? It seems the most likely place for it to have happened without drawing attention. Besides, they found Knight's blood in his cell. Yes, but that was from being struck by Mr. Carcerado. Though I needn't tell her that, I suppose. Take it there's also been no testimony to the contrary. What does it matter? Knight having been killed in the cell doesn't go against any of the facts anyway. Work schedule calendar goes from Friday to Thursday, which has significantly altered how you perceive days of the week. Ugh. I mean, I guess I get that because movie theater releases, generally Friday is going to be the busier day. For like Thursday night through Sunday morning, Sunday evening. But like, that's still fucked up. I would not want a work schedule to look like that for me. It would fuck my brain up.
Hold it!
Do you have any evidence that you didn't enter the prison? Please, darling, let me finish.
Hold it!
So you were in your office the whole time, and you didn't notice anything unusual? No, can't say I did. And you didn't notice anything missing? I must confess I'm a rather messy girl. And a forgetful one at that. I put down something, and it's lost forever. It's a curse, darling, a curse. Shortest press in the series, yep. I even lost some important evidence recently. It was gone. Poof, just like that. What? And she still has a job? Honestly, if somebody came into my office and took something, it might be years before I noticed. It seems I'll likely need more than the power of the room key to expose her. The power room key. Power of the room key. Wow. On the day of the murder, I was working in my office. Oh, and looking for something I'd misplaced. Even if I had a reason to go into the prison, I simply wouldn't have had the time. As if anyone who deserved to die in the prison in irrelevancy, it was probably Knight. If there's anyone who deserved to die in prison in irrelevancy, it was probably Knight. Huh. I mean, he had a right to a fair trial. I don't think getting killed before that was too fair for him.
Hold it!
Sure, maybe you didn't go to the main entrance to the prison. But what if you took another route? He got his trial and he got convicted. No, he didn't. He was in the detention center. He was waiting for trial. Eddie Fender was going to be his defense attorney. That's why he was even there in the first place. The whole point of this case is that someone dragged his body over to the prison, either before or after he was killed. Oh, come now, sweetie. Surely you don't mean that awful, filthy tunnel they discovered? Why, until yesterday I had no idea it even existed. No, you had another way in. I'm certain of it. A route that didn't require going through the main entrance or the tunnel. Yep, you have access to my sub-emotes now. Zero to die after the trial, though. Well, that's not true. People don't necessarily get the death penalty here. Saw didn't get the death penalty, and he murdered the first victim of this whole series. Yep, he killed his coworker, Rook. Rook was not his friend. No, Simeon is his friend. Was his friend. Whatever. You took the Rook. The Rook. God damn it. Oh man. The route you took went through. The route you took went through this location.
Take that!
Through the fence? Warren, you took Knight from his cell and brought him to your office, which just happens to be connected to the yard. If you had a way through the fence, then you would have been able to circumvent both the entrance and the tunnel. Gold star for creativity, darling. And how would I have gotten through the fence, The extremely high fence, topped with razor wire, with thousands of volts of electricity going through it. Yeah, how's she supposed to have gotten through that, The fence's electricity supply can be cut off from the power room. And only you had the key, Warden. No one but you could have done it.
Overruled!
Utterly ridiculous. The power room is on the prison side of the yard. Why? Warden Lagarde was on the detention center side. How would she even have reached the power room? Exactly, Verity, darling. Well, clever puss. You've dug yourself a real hole now. You really like the Cypher emote, huh? I'm glad it's getting use. Not a fan of how long it takes Twitch to load some of these functions. Just felt like squishing, yeah. If there's no record of Lord Lagarde having entered the prison proper, then the idea that she could have shut off the fence using the breaker is out of the question. But there must be some way she could have done it. I think I know how. Because there's a thing that she said earlier that kind of stuck in my mind. Take a deep breath, big guy. Lose your cool and you've lost everything. If I don't find a solution, she might still wriggle out of this, like a night bug. Hey, I said take a deep breath, not freak out and completely lose your cool. There's nothing to be gained by banging your head against the same wall, yeah? Like Von Karma did after Phoenix found him guilty. No matter how you look at it, Warden Lagarde couldn't have done it alone. Mr. Edgeworth, if you cannot find it... You aren't doing yourself any favors by obstructing justice with your silence. That was a reflexive objection. But now that I've yelled it, if I don't come up with an answer, it's all over. I have one more thing to add, if you'll permit me. Something that explains how the warden could have shut off the breaker from the wrong side of the fence? Yes, because it's not as impossible as it seems. What enabled her to shut off the breaker? An accomplice! She couldn't have done it alone, but what if she wasn't alone? Wait, you play Tribal Hunter? Yes, that's actually my most popular stream I've ever done. On my VOD channel, it has... Those Tribal Hunter streams have between like 5,000 and like 40,000 views. It is without a doubt the most popular game I've ever streamed. At least in terms of the VOD upload. That's awesome. Yep, and that sprite, that emote of me, is from the game. I am in the game itself. I'm one of the people eating at the restaurant. I was one of the, was it with Sweet Rotisserie? Base game without mods, yes. Yeah, I'm one of the Kickstarter backers. I'm in the restaurant at the very beginning of the game. If you refresh enough times, you'll see me there somewhere. I'm eating a plate of tacos, which I tried getting in the emote, but it was too small. It didn't look right. Base game without mod, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy I was able to spend the money to make that happen. She couldn't have done it alone, but what if she wasn't alone? Oh, now we're talking. Way to flex the old gray matter, kiddo. I believe that Warden Lagarde had an accomplice.
Overruled.
Enough. You disappoint me, Mr. Edgeworth. What do you mean? Had Mr. Edgeworth said nothing wrong? The inmates of the security... The inmates of this prison were all issued with security bracelets. The ones that raise the alarm if people were to go where they're not supposed to. Ah! I see that you've realized your error. And here we are, of course, within the prison grounds, where not only are the bracelets worn, but even the guards surveil each of the others for signs of wrongdoing. And despite all that, no one noticed Mr. Carcerado's escape. The only ones who are free to roam are the animals, and they most certainly could not have operated the breaker. No, so our accomplice must be human.
Overruled.
Looked up the game, one of the first results was a YouTube video showing all inflations. I mean... Why do you think I played the game? I'll say this, I'm not one of the more popular... my videos aren't one of the more popular Tribal Hunter videos, but the Tribal Hunter videos are the most popular videos on my VOD channel. I know, I know, trust me. Trust me. They are very aware of what the game is. They were just talking about what they saw. Then who did it, given that it cannot have been a prisoner or a guard?
Objection!
Wouldn't be so quick to rule out either, Your Honor. The fact is, there is one person, someone whose movements weren't restricted. And I have just the evidence to show who that free-roaming person was.
Take that!
This is one of the prisoner's bracelets. Indeed, a broken bracelet belonging to a certain self-proclaimed model prisoner. What do you mean? And who is this prisoner? Frank Sott, Warden Lagarde's favorite inmate. It's strange, isn't it, Warden, that he was able to keep his broken bracelet hidden and wander freely around the prison all the while. That is pretty funky, and I don't mean it in a good way. Couldn't have been the case that he was permitted some sort of special leeway, could it? Although you are in the habit of giving such leeway to certain others. Bodhidharma Canis, for example.
Overruled.
Mr. Edgeworth, that is pure speculation.
Objection!
In that case, why don't we go ask Mr. Sott himself? I'm confident he will confirm that to us, that he and Warden Lagarde were accomplices in this crime. If the two of them had worked together, a certain route into the prison becomes viable. Text is in my belly. Yep. That's why I'm ghost mode, so you can see it. The real route by which Knight was moved from his cell to the prison proper. Recall that there are two big obstacles in her path. First, the security camera outside Knight's cell. Second, the electrified fence in the yard. But she was able to remove both obstacles in one fell swoop, by having Mr. Sott shut off the corresponding breakers. Alright, Mr. Edgeworth, you've had your fun. And, do you still deny it, Warden Lagarde? No, darling, you've got me. I admit it. Warden? Tell me this isn't true. Sorry, Verity, honey, I'm afraid it is. Frankie helped me do it. No way! You did it, Mr. Edgeworth, you got her! Nice shooting, cowboy. She won't be wriggling out of this now. No night bugs allowed. As Mr. Edgeworth said, I had Frankie switch off the breaker. But we didn't kill Knight, did we? No, Sweetums. No, we didn't. What? Warden, explain yourself. Oh, Verity, dear, I doubt your precious goddess will want to hear my excuses now. She is all-merciful. You have but to confess, and you shall be saved. Oh gosh, all right. I was being threatened. I had no choice but to do as he said. Who's he? Botted harm Canis, that awful assassin. Canis? How long has it been since that awful man came here to my beautiful prison? I'll never forget the day he arrived. Now you're stuck in the prison with someone who's clearly murdered someone before, yeah. The moment we were alone, he said this to me. You should know that I have other dogs. Dogs not confined to this fine institution. That poor tube fox. Getting squeezed. Look at this little paws. The little pawsies are so cartoonish. Others? Yes. Very loyal dogs. Dogs who will do anything I ask of them. Of course he wasn't talking about real dogs. He was talking about his very human cronies. And then he said one last thing. I would recommend that you take care in how you treat me during my stay here. I wouldn't want to have to set my dogs on you, or your precious family. I had no choice. I gave him that cell. I gave him everything he asked for. Everything? Wait, is that how he became the fixer? Yes, darling, I obeyed his every command and smuggled in for him all that he wanted. Eventually, I brought dear sweet Frankie into our little conspiracy. He agreed right away, of course, because I made things easier for him, too. So you were smuggling in contraband. How exactly? Once a week, late at night, Frankie would shut off the breakers. That allowed me to go in from my office into the yard without being seen by the cameras. And I simply dropped the packages down the well on the prison side and went back through the fence. Each one of them spritzed with a little of my perfume. That is a lovely perfume bottle. So that's what that sweet smell was. Yes, it's a signal for Canis's dog. When he picked up the scent, he would fetch the packages and bring them back to his master. We had to make sure Rocco wasn't in his cell at the time, of course. Can't have been easy keeping him from finding out. Oh, we're all very much creatures of habit here at the prison, darling. Wait, okay, so why not... So if that's the case, why not put, Saw it. Frank. Why not put Frankie in the cell? He would know the tunnel was there, and he was already cooperating. That completely takes Carcerado out of the picture. Oh, we're very much creatures of habit here at the prison, darling. Everything runs to a schedule. Meals, exercise hours, that sort of thing. We knew when he wasn't here. And that adorable little bear of his freezes with fright at the sight of Canis's dog. Poor thing. So there was no risk of him raising the alarm, either. She has oversight over everything here at the prison, which has made her the perfect mule. With her on his side, Canis couldn't fail. Frankie would sneak out again early in the morning to switch the breakers back on, and our work was done. Apart from fixing the time codes on the cameras, which I would do later when I got the chance. You've shared a great deal, Warden. The Goddess of Justice will surely take your honesty into account. I've been the most dreadful fool, I know I have. I'm supposed to be the one in charge. The day of Knight's murder was also one of our delivery days. And so Frankie, bless his heart, did his usual work with the breakers. But there was no package for me to deliver that day, so I didn't go out into the yard. So that's the secret behind the Fixer's system, and why she was. That's why you were interrogating Mr. Canis over and over again. Exactly. I was trying to track down those horrible hench people of his. I borrowed everything the police had on that rotten scoundrel. I watched his every move, intercepted every letter he wrote. His letters. I suppose you must know about the correspondence chess games, too. But no matter if I did, I couldn't turn up any clues as to who his underlings were. Living in fear like this, it's... oh, you just can't comprehend it. As you've just heard for yourself, Mr. Edgeworth, the words of Warden Lagarde's confessions have cleansed her of all suspicion. Surely there's no need to hound her any longer. Has she really been cleared of all suspicion, though? Or is there more about her to uncover? She's clearly innocent. No, there's definitely more. I'm sorry, Your Honor, but this conversation isn't over yet. And I think the Goddess of Justice would agree. So you mean to make her suffer even more than she already has? Unfortunately, her suffering under Mr. Canis does nothing to prove her innocence in Knight's murder. She admitted herself that she knew of and even facilitated the so-called Fixer's delivery route. I believe she used that same route to move Knight's body. And where's your evidence, Mr. Edgeworth? It's in the fact that the sweet smell on Knight's body is the exact same scent Warden Lagarde uses to signal a delivery. What do you make of that? Well, that's because we've done it so many times by now, the whole well probably smells of it. Some of it must have just rubbed off on his body. That does match the statement that Mr. Carcerado provided. His words would seem to suggest that the smell had permeated the well. Ugh. You've been rendered speechless, I see. Then I hereby move to adjourn this session of court. No. What do we do, Mr. Edgeworth? What can I do? Is this as far as we go? Finally! So we're actually done? Yes, Eustace, it seems we are. By the power vested in me, this court is adjourned. Hold it. Who was that? Yeah, I knew it. Come on, Judge G. Things were just getting good. Fender, are you objecting to adjourning my adjourning of... Blah, blah, blah. Are you objecting to my adjourning this session? No. Would have shouted objection if I wanted to do that. You do, G. You do you, G. Adjourn, don't adjourn, whatever floats your boat. What are you doing, Mr. Fender? Don't worry about what I'm doing. Let's all just take a chill pill, shall we? By which I mean a square of chocolatey goodness. Anyone? Are you trying to get yourself charged with contempt of court? No, my bad. Just had a quick request to make is all. Also, we're not in court, lady. As Simeon Saint's lawyer, that is. Ah, yes, I'd forgotten that you were his real attorney, Mr. Fender. How could you? How could you? You're killing me here. Can you blame us? You've been making Mr. Edgeworth do everything this whole time. Right you are, which is why I figured it's time to put in some work. Work, you say? Somehow I don't believe you've worked a day in your life. And let's say this is me doing some prep work for the upcoming trial. Mind if I question the witness? Now, amusing, but what is there left to ask? I had a feeling in my funny bone that Thief's here has something more to tell us about the killer. Do I? Yes, indeed. Since he's a major player on Team Simeon, I could spot a sympathizer when I see one. You don't think he did it too, do you? So tell us, who did? Come on, spill the beans. We're all ears. Mr. Edgeworth, what's he doing? Trying to coax Warden Lagarde into giving something away. Ask yourself, why would she go through all the trouble of sending Knight's body on such an odd journey? Because she wanted to frame Mr. Canis. She did? No way! If he was convicted of committing murder here, that could have been grounds for a transfer to another prison. Most likely, a more secure facility. Where he'd be out of her hair forever, huh? Precisely. She saw her opportunity and seized it. No, Saint can't not be the killer. That's not fair, I was all ready to prosecute him. I know, right? But maybe we should find out what she thinks first. Don't want to get the wrong guy, yeah? Nice. Now Mr. Winter has to go along with it, too. Well, Warden, are you happy to testify further? Of course, how could I refuse the silver-tongued devil? Eddykins, you have such a way with words. Just doing my job, thief. Besides, one can't tell the truth without telling the whole truth, can one? I'm simply dying to tell all verity, darling. Do say you'll let me. As you wish. Court is unadjourned. Can't believe you pulled that off, Mr. Fender. Also, court is now in session. Ooh, me either. Thank you for the timely intervention. Hey, it's the least I could do. Kay's not wrong. Been leaning on you hard. And besides, the defense never rests, am I right? Simeon's depending on us. Sadly, I think I just about exhausted my reserves of cool lawyer chat there. And we can't foul this up now. Which means you're up to bat, Miles McSmiles. Show him that never rest spirit. I shall. Fabulous, then let's get started. Miles McSmiles, I like that nickname. My truth. I really don't think anyone could have done it but that dreadful man Canis. There's no telling what went on between him and the victim. Perhaps he simply took a disliking to him. He's certainly the type. But whatever the sordid details, it was him. He stabbed that poor man to death. And then he had his dog dispose of the body. That simply has to be what happened. The victim, Mr. Knight, yes. I did the most terrible disservice. Yes, you killed him. I suppose you could put it that way. If I weren't such a sorry excuse for a warden, this would have never happened. And that's why I have to clean up this terrible mess. Warden the Guard, as ever, your honesty is truly to your credit. I'm certain Mr. Knight is looking down and weeping tears of gratitude. Clearly never met Mr. Knight. Mr. Knight's probably giving everyone here the middle finger right now. From the depths of hell.
Hold it!
Seem very confident in your assertion. Why is that? Because all the other children in my little home are absolute sweethearts. They have faith in themselves and in one another. They have faith in the guards. In me. And they work hard every day to better themselves. None of them would dare commit murder. That's a very touching reason indeed, and I don't believe a word of it. But Canis, oh, he's rotten to the core. He's the only one who would do something like that. Except Edgeworth. No. Especially Edgeworth. Edgeworth's actually fighting for his killer to be convicted. Yeah, but who's the one who got Knight convicted in the first place? It's Edgeworth.
Hold it!
And that was being kept in a holding cell while Mr. Canis was in the prison proper. What could possibly have happened between them when they were at opposite ends of the facility? Prisons aren't as big as they seem, you know. All kinds of awful things can happen. But Knight only arrived 2 days before he was murdered. After he was murdered. Can't imagine anything significant happening in that short space of time. You don't know Canis, my dear. He'll find a way. He'd find a way, I'm sure of it. Got 4 KOs in a single race 4 times now in F-Zero 99. You need 5 for the achievement. Yeah. I haven't even bothered trying to go for that one.
Hold it!
How can you take a disliking to somebody all the way over in the holding cells? Oh, I'm just plucking possibilities out of the air, darling. As I said, there's no telling what really went on between them. You're so awfully serious, aren't you? Not that I mind, of course. Why is she looking at me like that? So noble, so dashing in that marvelous suit. So clever. I can feel myself becoming your biggest fan, darling. I really can. Ugh. Stay with me, Mr. Edgeworth. I wasn't prepared for that mental onslaught.
Hold it!
What more can you tell us about these sordid details? Oh, we all know that Canis once did for a living. Doubt the killing part gave him much trouble, especially as the victim was already injured. His neck, I think. Couldn't turn his head to the right, poor dear. That's what they told me when they brought him in, anyway. Must make some sort of report for the warden when new prisoners are admitted. You seem keen for us to think that you didn't know much about Mr. Knight. That's because I didn't, sweetie, and the victim was simply a fun target to that monster. Nothing more. I expect Canis used that chisel that was hidden in the chess set, don't you? Awful, grisly business. Just imagine, the man probably didn't even have time to cry out. I see. Thank you for your thoughts. They were very helpful. Actually, I'd like to hear about them in a little more detail, if you don't mind. Oh, Mr. Edgeworth, you're making me blush. I could chat with you all day. Oh, don't look so nervous, darling. I'm only teasing, of course. I'm only teasing. Of course we could talk about them some more. I expect Canis used the chisel that was hidden in the chess set, don't you?
Hold it!
How would he know about that? And which chess set would that be, precisely? Why, the one the victim brought in, sweetie. Do try to keep up. The victim was a certified chess fanatic, or so I'm led to believe. But the naughty boy snuck a chisel inside it. Can you imagine? Does she know about the chisel in the chess set? Only a few people were supposed to know about that. After all, we only learned about it thanks to a certain deduction we made. So how did she find out? Of course, in the hands of a killer like Canis, even a chisel could serve as a deadly weapon.
Objection!
Pretty easy once you know exactly what the point is. He kind of spells that one out for you. Warden Lagarde, you strike me as being more careful than the image you... Oh my god. You strike me as being more careful than the image you project suggests. Oh, Mr. Edgeworth, please, call me Fifi, or Sweetie Pie if you prefer. However, I think you may have been a little less careful than you realize in this instance. Aren't you just the most adorable little creature? Don't be embarrassed, we're all family here. Ugh. Come on, Mr. Edgeworth, don't let her get inside your head. Or your pants. You said earlier that you didn't know much about Mr. Knight. In which case, I find it rather strange that you know about the chisel. Well, of course I do, darling. Do you think we don't check prisoners when they come in?
Objection!
You're not talking your way out of this, Warden. That's entirely irrelevant, and you know it. Knight didn't bring the chess set into the prison himself. It was brought by Mr. Saint when he came to visit. Knight wouldn't have had it on him when he arrived. What? I mean, of course, that when Mr. Saint came in, we...
Objection!
You checked him? I find that hard to believe. Because if you did, that makes your story all the stranger. If you found the chisel, why did you not confiscate it there and then? Eek! Judge Gavelle, did you tell anyone about the hidden compartment in the chess set? I did not. If no one leaked our findings, then how exactly did you learn about the chisel, Warden Lagarde? Because it certainly couldn't have been when you checked Mr. Knight or Mr. Saint on their arrival. Indeed, such a thing would imply an intentional oversight if it had been found, yet let through. Precisely. So, Warden Lagarde, and the answer truthfully this time. Where and when did you learn about the chess set? You won't answer, then allow me. I submit that you... Alright, darling, there's no need to rub it in. You got me, alright? I questioned Knight. That was when I learned about the chess set. But please, you have to believe me. I did not kill him. One moment, Warden. This is a significant development. The court requests that you make a detailed statement on the record. Any objections, Mr. Edgeworth? None, Your Honor. Thank you, darlings. I'll clear up this awful misunderstanding, I promise. Very well. Go ahead, Warden Lagarde, and please, tell the truth this time. Her lies are starting to wear thin. This is my chance to expose her. My Truth, Part 2. I said I questioned Knight, but it wasn't anything serious, you understand. I make a point of talking to every newcomer to our little home. Knight was no different. We just had a little chat, you might call it. And after we talked, I had him taken back to his cell straight away. The more she lies, the more thoroughly she seals her fate. So it was simply a conversation with the new detainee? That seems entirely above board. Exactly, Verity, darling. I knew you'd understand.
Objection!
Well, I don't. What proof do you have to back up your statement? I suppose we shall see, won't we? Mr. Edgeworth, you may begin your cross-examination.
Hold it!
So am I right in assuming that you talked to Knight the night before the show? Exactly, darling. It would have been, around 3 a.m. on the 27th. 3 a.m.? That falls squarely within the window of the time laid out in the autopsy report. That seems rather late for a friendly chat. Wouldn't he have been asleep? Normally, yes, but if you remember, our guard was attacked in his cell. We had to examine the scene of the crime, gather information. These things take time, sweetie. I assure you, he was wide awake. We all were. Regardless, I find it somewhat odd that you would choose to question him at such a late hour. Oh, you're such a tease, aren't you? Ugh. Anyway, no matter how odd you may think it is, I had him brought to me, and that's what happened. You must you insist on questioning every last thing I say? Sorry, Fiefs, he's like a dog with a bone sometimes. Be sure to scold him once we're done. Though, would you mind giving us a little more info? Like where you had him brought to? My office, of course. Where else? Smooch. Our office, which is where we believe the body was moved from. Would you mind appending what you just said to your testimony? Anything for you, darling. It was around 3 AM in the night before the show. I had them bring him to my office.
Hold it!
Tell me where your office is. You see the sign in the detention center corridor, I imagine. The one that says no entry? That's it, sweetie. My office is just up in there. Short walk from the holding cells. Understand that you also have access to the yard. Why, of course, that's where my gorgeous little garden is. Oh, I see where you're going with this. You're saying that's how I move the body. You had the means and the opportunity. It's hardly impossible.
Overruled.
Hardly impossible proves nothing. You have no evidence for this assertion.
Objection!
There's no other way that the body could have been moved.
Overruled.
Surely you haven't forgotten that it was Mr. Saint who dropped Mr. Knight's body down the well. Yeah, what she said. You're miles off, Edgeworth. We shouldn't push this any further for now.
Hold it!
What did you and Knight speak about? Oh, nothing much. Just some small talk, really. I asked him about what animals he liked, what his hobbies were. His hobbies, and I imagine you talked about chess. Oh, yes, I couldn't stop talking about it, in fact. He even had a piece of paper covered with little notes about it in his cell. At least I think that's what they were about. So she's seen Knight's correspondence chess diagram.
Hold it!
How was he when you spoke with him? Oh, he was so open and honest, darling. What? That guy? Honest? He was talking about one croissant and promoting a prawn? I suppose he must have been hungry. And passant and promoting a pawn. There's no T, you can't pronounce the T, and that's en passant, I think. Seems he was spared no one from his obsession with chess.
Hold it!
If he really had gone back to his cell, he would have still been alive today. You really think I murdered the poor man right there in my office, don't you? But what would my motive have been, darling? I told you I barely knew him. I'm no angel, I have my grudges against Canis. But Knight had nothing to do with that animal. She really does hate Canis. Warden Lagarde, I must insist that you append this statement to your testimony.
Hold it!
You say that you bear a grudge against only Mr. Canis, is that correct? No, I despise him, coming into my prison, thinking he can do whatever he wants. But he won't get away with it. I'll clip his wicked wings if it's the last thing I do. That awful dog of his, it's a menace. Completely upended the peace and quiet of my home. That's a nice animation. You look closely, it's like there's 2 foxes on there. She even hates his dog. Whoa! I just dropped my controller. It does seem at first glance that she didn't have much of a motive to kill Knight. But she hates Canis so much she probably hates anyone who has anything to do with him. Thinking about it from that angle, the key to breaking her testimony will surely reveal itself. It's nice to get to know all the peeps, huh? Pretty chummy prison warden, if you ask me. Chummy? She killed a man, detective. Poor guy would have been in cuffs, not to mention the neck brace. He was defenseless. Warden Lagarde was the murderer. The evidence points to that conclusion and no other.
Objection!
Judge Gavelle, I'd like you to take a look at this. Notes about a game of chess. What is the significance of this, Mr. Edgeworth? It was found in Knight's cell. Which is exactly where you saw it too, Warden Lagarde. But you didn't just see this game in Knight's cell, did you? You've seen it in Mr. Canis' cell too. What do you mean?
Objection!
That's not the right voice. Oh, come now. Don't tell me you haven't taken a look at the chessboard in maximum security. I imagine you watch his every move like a hawk. Or rather, I imagine you feel that doing so is your only option. She wants to find out who his cronies are, right? Personally interrogating your own prisoners is highly irregular, to say the least. But as you said, Mr. Canis had threatened you. You put your precious home at risk. That's why you took it upon yourself to question him. You wanted to find out who his dogs were. And so what if I did? You also read his letters, which means you must have known about one key fact. You knew he was playing correspondence chess. Ah! Then who should appear but Knight, carrying with him a diagram of a very particular game of chess. We ourselves used the diagram to infer a connection between the two men, and it seems you came to the same conclusion. But in your fear, you took the reasoning one step further. You surmised that Knight was Mr. Canis' henchman, sent to kill you. Which is the real reason she had to chat with the Bronxster. If his boss wouldn't crack, maybe he would. And when you questioned Knight, you made another discovery. For there inside his chess set, you found a hidden chisel. The murder weapon itself. As far as you were concerned, that chisel meant one thing. Canis. Thus you convinced yourself that Knight was working for Canis, and that is why you killed him. I see you have no more excuses. Judge Gavel, your verdict, please. Much as it grieves me, there would appear to be little room for doubt. I hereby give my verdict. Bronco Knight was murdered by... In the name of the goddess of justice, who is it this time? Warden? It's a joke. It's all a big stupid joke. You people just don't get it, do you? I think we've proven that it's you who didn't understand things correctly. Me? Please, darling, I understand it all perfectly well, thank you very much. She has such good sprites, yeah. Made much better by the fox, let's be honest. And I understand that there's a glaring contradiction in your theory, Mr. Edgeworth. You're just grasping at straws now. I have no time for this. Your Honor, the verdict.
Overruled.
I'm curious to hear what the warden has to say. What? You're a doll, Verity. I just have one last thing to say, then Mr. Edgeworth can declare himself the winner. You rang? Does anybody else remember a certain autopsy report? Of course, we received the finalized version only this morning. That's right, and I was listening to what you told us about it, Verity, even if nobody else was. You said the wound was 4 inches deep. 4 inches? Wait. Riddle me this, Mr. Edgeworth. How does a tiny chisel make a 4-inch wound? Ah! Forgive me, oh goddess, I came perilously close to making a terrible mistake. Looks like your theory's the one that doesn't hold up water, Edgeworth. What now, What do we do? Karma, hey! How's you doing, Stinky Fox? Karma's the fox around, Lagarde's neck. It'll be fine. Mr. Edgeworth always comes through. Right, sir? Babysitting your niece? Oh, that's nice. Looks like the Milesotron... looks like the Milesotron's out of commission. You're an attorney too, aren't you? Why don't you do something? Turn things on their head like turn things on their head with a desperate bluff. Blurt out the first mind-blowing thing that comes to you. Look, detective, I'm as much of a man of action as the next guy. Without evidence, we're up a creek without a paddle here. This might be the end of the road. Can't give up now. We have to do something. I'm certain that Warden Lagarde is the killer. It's the only explanation that fits the facts of the case. But if the chisel wasn't the murder weapon, what other bladed weapon is here in the facility? It seems we still do not have all the answers, nor the evidence to provide those answers. Alas, we must wait until the trial to see this matter resolved, I'm afraid.
Objection!
Objection! Aw, come on, G, you're just giving the killer a chance to destroy the evidence.
Overruled.
Are you calling the judicial process into question, Mr. Fender? Yep, no, not me, I try, Miles. Any bright ideas? What is the real murder weapon, since it's clearly not the chisel? Confound it, this question throws everything we deduced out the window. Nothing to add, Mr. Edgeworth. Allow me to remind you that claims not supported by sufficient evidence are subject to the harshest penalties. It's hopeless. I can't think of anything. I need more time. Loath as I am to admit it, I can't give up now. Remember what Mr. Fender said. Simeon's counting on us. Without us, he's... Remember how upset he was? He was devastated. Nobody's in more pain than him over Mr. Knight's death. There's no way he did it. But if we can't save him, who will? And what's more, he believes in us. He's sitting in that cell waiting for us to bring him some good news. The real weapon is a football. I chiseled it! I chiseled it, Edgeworth. And I, for one, won't walk away until we have some. Okay. Gee, Miles, your little buddy here's quite the motivational speaker. And she's right, too. When you find yourself on the ropes, think of your client. Picture them pleading with you to help them. Doesn't that make you want to fight back as hard as you can until the very end? Think of your old man, good old Gregory. No matter how bad things looked, he'd always find a way to turn it around and save his client. And you're just like him, right? If there's any way to force a turnabout here, you're the one who'll find it. Simeon's counting on you. No, he's innocent. Judge Gavelle, you seem to have recovered your composure, Mr. Edgeworth. But if you mean to attempt a defense, I would advise you to consider the ramifications. You repeatedly proposed misguided theories and have made numerous false accusations. If you do so again, I will have no choice but to judge you unfit to serve as a prosecutor, and relieve you of your badge for good. She's right. I have put forward a number of theories that have proved to be flawed in one way or another. Have I made some sort of fundamental oversight? Wait, she said my theories were misguided. Nothing to say? The court will tolerate no more of your time wasting. I hereby... Sir! Mr. Edgeworth! Give my verdict. That's it. I've been thinking about it the wrong way this whole time. My theories weren't misguided. I was being misled. The defendant, Simeon Saint... I think it's a little soon for that, Your Honor. I'd say it's well past due, darling. Wouldn't you agree, Verity? Mr. Edgeworth. What? I'd like to remind you of a few things. The sighting of his dog, Helmet, the fact that he wasn't at the show. These and the other factors made Mr. Canis the obvious suspect at first.
Overruled.
This again, Mr. Edgeworth, you seem almost proud of your blunder.
Hold it!
But what if the real killer wanted us to suspect Mr. Canis? What if he was all carefully arranged? And what if the same was true of the chisel, a purported murder weapon? Knight had been stabbed multiple times at the same place with the bladed instrument. What if he was stabbed with the chisel after the real murder weapon had been removed? Just to leave traces of blood on it for us to find. That was how the killer misled us into thinking the chisel was the murder weapon. But why mislead us in this way? Why indeed? Why make us think the chisel is the murder weapon rather than whatever was really used? Because it is the murder weapon, in order to get Knight transferred, in order to get Canis transferred. Warden, you took advantage of what the chisel seemed to suggest. What it suggested? What are you talking about, darling?
Hold it!
Mr. Winner. If I were to tell you the murder weapon was a chisel, what would you think? Huh? That Mr. Canis is the killer. And there you have it. That was the trap the warden set for us. Oh, Mr. Canis has a bunch of chisels, so she wanted to think of it was one of his, right? Indeed. That was our plan right from the start. To frame bonded harmer Canis. Your reasoning would appear to be sound. Warden Lagarde certainly seems to harbor a deep and abiding hatred for Mr. Canis. However, I think you know what I'm going to say next. That alone is not sufficient proof that Warden Lagarde is the killer. I knew that wouldn't be enough. There's only one thing that will prove it. The real murder weapon that we now know must exist. If you cannot prove your theory, then this conversation ends here.
Objection!
could just find the real murder weapon.
Objection!
How many times do we have to tell you? We searched this prison from top to bottom. Eustace is quite correct there. No other possible murder weapon has been found, so I'm afraid that you're at a bit of an impasse.
Objection!
I could still prove my case yet, Your Honor, because it's still here inside this prison. Hey, Rozzy, how you doing? The real murder weapon is that goofy gavel here. This would have made sure of that. Security gate! I'm glad you at least remembered what it is. And do you remember what it does? Of course I do, I'm not an idiot. The security gate detects metal. Which you means you can't bring anything metal into the prison or take it out. Oh no. Another one right there. Which you means you. Which means you can't bring anything metal into the prison or take it out. Oh. Precisely. If there's another murder weapon, it cannot have been taken off the premises. Nor can it have been brought into the prison in the first place. And so we find ourselves right back where we began. Judge Gavelle, what I'm trying to tell you, Mr. Edgeworth, is that if you wish for me to believe that there's another murder weapon here in the prison, you will also have to explain to me how it got here. Hey, Phoenix Affinity, how you doing? Alright, we know that the chisel was smuggled into the prison inside a pocket chess set, but our contention is that the chisel is not the real murder weapon. So if the weapon came from outside the facility, then there must have been some way to bring one in. That's what he said. So if the weapon came from outside the facility, then there must have been a way to bring it in. AAI2? Yep. AAI2. We are deep in it. Also, just a general thing, because again, more people are here than normal. Don't spoil anything regarding any characters or any plot points in the future, because there are people in the chat that have not seen this yet, and probably watching on YouTube that haven't seen it. And if I accidentally read a spoiler, that's gonna fuck anything over for people who watch it on YouTube. All like 5 people that watch my YouTube VODs. Yes, the question of the hour is this: can you show this alternate route? Can I show you this alternate route? Whoops. The weapon Warden the guard used to get into the prison. Of course, that's how. The fact that this is here with us now shows the fact that this is here with us shows how a bladed object could have been brought into the facility as well.
Take that!
The bell? Allow me to remind you of our conversation with Mr. Canis yesterday. Spoilers, Edgeworth's a prosecuting attorney. So you see, there's a way for objects to be brought into the prison unscrutinized, as part of the evidence Warden Lagarde borrowed from the police. What? Mr. Canis's knife was part of the evidence in the case against him. That evidence was here in prison. Not only that, but the knife had a certain bell attached to it. The bell that was attached to the chisel. Correct. The killer took the bell from the knife and attached it to the chisel. That can't be right. The chisel only had Mr. Knight's fingerprints on it. Easy enough to explain if the killer wore gloves. She made it look as if the chisel was the murder weapon, then attached the bell to it. In doing so, she made sure that all the evidence pointed to Mr. Canis. And who had access to the evidence for which the bell was taken? Why, only the person whom it had been trusted to. Silly Eustace. He's the winner. The winner. Who was it, sir? Who's been messing with the evidence? I believe that would be you. Isn't that correct, Warden Lagarde? The bells aren't exactly rare, you know. Anybody could have set that up.
Objection!
Unlucky for you, that's isn't quite true. These particular bells are unique, because there's only 2 of them in existence. What? By attaching that bell to the chisel, you as good as declared yourself the killer. Oh, but you don't have any proof that the knife was even here to begin with.
Hold it!
I don't. Not yet, anyway. Mr. Winner, I'd like you to order another search of the prison right away. Huh? If you do find something, that's going to make things awkward for me. This isn't about what's convenient for you. You have to find the truth. You're a prosecutor, aren't you? Well, yeah, but, you know... What's this excuse for a prosecutor? If I had investigative authority, I wouldn't be sitting on it. Anyhow, it's not my decision to make. The warden would have to authorize it. You know full well that you will do no such thing. You have the power to insist on a search. Use it. Sorry, darling, but not without evidence. The goddess of justice cannot bestow her blessings on those who lack the proof to support their claims. Our work here is done. The rest of this matter will have to be settled in the courtroom. No, if we give Lagarde the opportunity, she'll destroy whatever evidence is left. I have to object. I have to stop them. What do I say? I don't have anything concrete to offer. What am I thinking? I'm never this reckless. No, I can't back down now. Gotta put everything on the line. It's 2 on the vine. I'm not a prosecutor right now. I'm an associate attorney with a client to defend. Only I could save Mr. Saint, and that means... Even if my chances are 1,000,000 to 1, it's still worth a shot. It's now or never. Should I object? Suppose this must be how a certain serial bluffer always feels. That man. That person. That guy. The one in blue. Regardless, I cannot walk away. Voice crack. Wait, Your Honor. This had better be good, Mr. Edgeworth. I've got it. Got what exactly? The real murder weapon, of course. I know where Mr. Canis's knife is. Do you really, Mr. Edgeworth? I do. Not at all. If I did not know better, I would say that you were bluffing. Ha, you wound me, Your Honor. I don't know the meaning of the word. This is terrible for my heart. There's no way you could... It's not here, I tell you! Well, would you be so kind as to enlighten us? Where's the real murder weapon? Think, Miles, think. Somewhere not even the police would search. A blind spot in this zoo. A hiding spot that the warden could be absolutely sure of. A hiding place. No. Did she use the same trick? No, that's ridiculous, isn't it? But, the more I think about it, how many foolproof ways to evade detection could there be? Mr. Edgeworth, how long do you intend to keep us waiting? There's the faintest possibility I'm right, but if I'm wrong, we stand to lose everything. Your Honor, this is where the real murder weapon is hidden.
Take that!
Here in the yard? Here in my yard. It is in the pond. Indeed. I don't believe I understand. Would you care to... Oops. Would you care to explain a little more? Where exactly is the real murder weapon hidden?
Take that!
Of course. That's where it must have been. That's what it must have been. Excuse me. The metal detector was reacting to something inside her after all. Your Honor, I'd like to remind you of this piece of evidence. The chisel? Didn't we just figure out that that isn't the murder weapon? You might recall that Mr. Canis had his chisel in his dog's mouth. Would you believe that the real murder weapon was hidden in very much the same way? That's right. The murder weapon is hidden inside the alligator in that pond over there. What? No way! We detected the presence of a metallic object during our earlier investigation. Judge Gavel, we need to know what's inside that alligator. Understood. Then we will need to summon a veterinarian. I'm sure I could get the little sweetie to open up for us. I'd be happy to give it a try. Please, by all means. I forgot Regina was here. Warden Lagarde, the real murder weapon is about to be revealed. Why not do the right thing and confess? I have nothing to confess. As you wish, then you could simply wait and watch as your lies are exposed. Sir, we got it! This has to be it. It's over, Fifi Lagarde. The real murder weapon was Bodhid Harmocanis' knife, making you the only person who could have killed Bronco Knight. This breakdown is great, by the way. I'm not the criminal here. This is all Canis' doing. I did the right thing. Knight was a threat. He was Canis' lapdog. Curse that despicable man, Canis. Why do you have to come and ruin my perfect little home? We could have been happy forever if it wasn't for him. He ruined my paradise on Earth. He ruined everything! Curse him! Curse that pitiless butcher! That awful, terrible, despicable man! Curse him! I'm not reading that whole thing. Watch this. They were all foxes! And she's got huge boobs. March 29th, 12:34 p.m., Detention Center, Corridor. I love the foxes. Prosecutor Dwinner, sir. Test results have just come back. Dwinner? Guess we've all been under a lot of stress. Traces of Bronco Knight's blood were found on Mr. Canis' knife. Just like you said, sir. Congratulations on a stunning victory. Thank you, officer. Excellent work. You can continue complimenting me if you like. Yes, sir. Dwinner wins again. I think I'm welling up a little. With rage? Excellent work, Eustace. Just a few loose ends to tie up and we're done. You're going to bed, have a strep throat, and you're starting to feel worn out? Alright, don't overexert yourself, Evie. Feel better. Huh? What are you talking about? I just solved the case, didn't I? We have yet to confirm whether or not Knight really was working for Mr. Canis. It'll be vital to know if Warden Lagarde was simply jumping to conclusions on that front. Huh? Huh? There's Clueless, and then there's you. Well, I guess we better get back to our investigation. Alright, officer, you're with me. You're about to see the winner win a whole lot more. Prepare to witness a first-rate investigative talent in action. Yes, sir. Right with you, sir. Can't wait to watch you at work. It's winning time! Oh my god. This could not have been localized a while ago. This was definitely a new localization. I expect this case will cause quite a stir. The attempted murder of a president is news enough, and now his would-be assassin has been murdered? But Knight never sought to kill the president in the first place. The truth is not always as important as it might seem, Mr. Edgeworth. In the eyes of both society and the law. How could you even say that? You do not have to believe me. However, as a prosecutor, Mr. Edgeworth is obliged to accept that this is the reality of the world he operates in. Being a prosecutor is about more than proving people guilty. That's what I believe. We are all free to believe as we choose, but the law is not to be toyed with for our own personal goals. If you refuse to accept this, then you must prepare to suffer the consequences. What does that even mean? Wait, you're not going to take his... I'm afraid I must be going now. Farewell, Mr. Edgeworth. Judge Gavel is right. There's only one set of laws for everyone. But if following the laws means sacrificing the truth, can I really do that in good conscience? Simon just hoofing it over here. Simeon, you're out! Hi, Regina! Gotta get that voice back in my head there. Is everything alright? They did let you out, right? Oh, yeah. I'm so confused about what's going on. Some guy just came and said I was free to go, and then I have Mr. Edgeworth to thank. You sure do. Mr. Edgeworth found out who the real killer is. Wow, really? You did that for me, Mr. Edgeworth? Eep! Oh, no, stop staring at me like that. I'm innocent, I swear. Don't pull out the rug from under me now. Stop it, silly. It's true. He saved you. So say thanks already. Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Thank you. And a great big Regina Berry thank you from me, too. Mr. Saint talking directly to me. Small victories, I suppose. Can I just ask one question, Mr. Attorney? Sure. Not actually an attorney, though. I thought Bronco was my friend. No, my best friend. I trusted him, but now... But now? Well, it's just... I never knew. Never would have believed that he could hate somebody enough to want to kill them. If he kept something like that from me, then he never really trusted me, did he? That's not true, Simeon. Of course he trusted you. No, he didn't. If he just told me, I could have stopped him. I could have told him that he never helps. That he should just let go of all that stuff. Mr. Saint, I think you're forgetting something. Should show him the thing that proves Knight trusted him.
Take that!
It's the chess set I brought for him. Knight had hidden a chisel inside. I imagine he meant to use it to escape. What? You mean he was using me? No, he believed in you. He knew he could count on you to bring it, and that you would never be so untrusting as to look inside. I imagine that by not telling you, he was hoping he could keep you from getting caught up in this mess. Oh! Bronco! Why didn't you tell me? At least you understand now, right, Simeon? Sure he does. He may not show it, but Simeon's no dummy. Good night's sleep and he'll be completely over this whole thing by tomorrow. That's not as complimentary as you think it is. Oh, I'll try. I'll have to, for Bronco. I have to show him I can become the best animal trainer out there. That's the spirit. Yeah, I played the fan translation too. It was really good. Yeah, Rip Knight. Oh, I almost forgot. We're doing a new show soon. I'd love it if you could come, Mr. Edgeworth. Look, it's Max. The one, the only, the Very Big Circus is back. I'll be joining Regina on stage for this one. That's right, the Very Big Circus is the biggest, most fabulous event in town. You'll have oodles of fun. Sounds great, doesn't it, Mr. Edgeworth? Come on, we have to go. Well, I'll think about it. Alright, Simeon, got some training to do. I think it's time you and Regent got acquainted. What? Regent the tiger? No way, I can't. No. Oh, you'll be fine, silly. You've never met a nicer kitty cat. I can't. Please, Regina, anything but that. Please. Another satisfied customer. Well, that was really something, Smiles. Talk about pulling it out of the bag. Couldn't have done it without you, Fender. Without your timely intervention, she would have gotten away. Besides, I have you to thank for even being able to investigate the case in the first place. Oh, stop it. Pat me on my back any harder and you're gonna make me blush. Or topple over. Suppose it would be asking too much for you to take this seriously. Oh, yeah. I get what you're saying there, because Simeon has sprites of him covering his ears and covering his mouth. And it's a very common thing to see the monkeys doing that while covering their eyes as well. In, like, statues and stuff, because it's the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. It's also do no evil, which is where the hands are behind the back, but that one's less commonly used. Monkey. Suppose it'd be asking too much for you to take this seriously. Seriously, Miles, my friend, I'm always serious. Anyway, how does it feel to save an innocent client? That's what it means to be an attorney, after all. To be an attorney. Gotta say, I had a blast. Reminded me of the good old days. Like Gregory was standing right there beside me. It's been like a zillion years since I felt this woman fuzzy on the job. That's good. Bittersweet? Not sure. Say, Miles, you ever thought about going into the defense game full-time? Excuse me? You know, pick up where Gregory left off. Get out there and actually help people. Hey, pal, don't get any big ideas. Mr. Edgeworth ain't about to switch sides. Secret fifth monkey, be more evil? Why not? Come over to the light side's all the rage. Everybody's doing it these days. Come on, Mr. Fender, you know it's not about that. Chill, team, chill. Don't get it twisted. We're just asking a perfectly innocent question. No, you weren't. Heck, you were. Looks like you got a mean defense team there yourself, Miles. Fender, I'm a prosecutor. Yep, and I'm an attorney. You could be one too. I'm serious. Well, I've said my piece. You change your mind, you know who to call. I'll be waiting. Swag's out of there. Following my father's footsteps. Reverse prosecutor? Could I really do such a thing? I'm going to become a defense attorney, just like my dad. There he is, the man. An attorney like my father. Me? The end. The captive turnabout awarded. Yeah, you can whisper a joke to me if it's spoilers. Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh. Alright. We're gonna do the next segment. The first part of episode 3. Turnabout Legacy. Just give me a few minutes. I'm gonna go refresh my drink. I'm gonna grab a snack and I'm gonna use the bathroom. And I will be right back. And if you're on YouTube, just come back tomorrow. You get the next part. Like always,